Welcome back to SWGA, Sickle Cell Awareness with Patient Advocate Monica. If you're visiting for the first time, welcome. If you are a new subscriber, welcome to the tribe. In today's video, I am going to be discussing this book, A Life with Sickle Cell Anemia by Dr. David Owoeye. Let's get into the video. Before I even get into this book, let me first tell you how I met Dr. David virtually, because we've never met in person. Actually, I met Dr. David through Amplified Sickle Cell Voices International. That is an organization we both are a part of, we're members of, so I'm excited to be reading this book. I read this book actually in one day. It is such a great book. There is a lot of information in this book, and I like how this book actually have 3 components to it. The first component of this book is the history and giving you a lot of information about sickle cell disease. It tells you what sickle cell disease is, what are the crises and the complications that come with this disorder. That's another thing. I like how in discussion, Dr. David always says sickle cell disorder. And I thought about it. Over in the United States, we say sickle cell disease, but when you think about the word itself and the definition of sickle cell is an inherited blood disorder. Listen to the words, inherited blood disorder. So now I have been saying sickle cell disorder ever since Dr. David said it, and it makes sense. Another great thing about this book is coming from the perspective of a medical doctor or general practitioner, as well as a sickle cell warrior, so it is definitely a great read. The 3 components to this book is the information about the sickle cell disorder, the crisis, the complications, a lot of information about that. He also talks about his personal experiences and his personal stories of living with sickle cell disorder himself. So I love that part of the book. The last component to this book is there is a lot of poems in the back of the book, and those poems were great. So in today's video, I'm going to share some information, but I'm going to end with one of the poems. There were many poems in the back, but there's one I would love to read to everyone. The first thing that stood out to me in this book is when he started talking about haplotypes. That caught my attention, and I kind of stayed there a while and kind of did a lot of research on haplotype. The word haplotype, I translated in layman's terms, just means DNA. And I love how in this book he talks about the haplotypes. It tells you the DNA of a person. Like the Asian haplotype, it tells you the origin of people from Central India as well as people from Saudi Arabia. I thought that was really neat. The Asian haplotypes tell you the type of person that's from Central India as well as Saudi Arabia. Another haplotype is benign. I say benign, but I'm not for sure if that's the correct way to pronounce it. I'm just going to say benign or benign. That haplotype, it shows the DNA of people from West Africa like Ghana and Nigeria. So I love that haplotype it shows you the DNA. And I'm wondering, is my DNA, is my haplotype benign? Because I feel like some days I'm either from Nigeria or from Ghana. Because there are people that could claim me from Nigeria. Girl, you a Niger girl. You a Niger girl. So I love that. That could possibly be my haplotype. Another haplotype that he talks about is the haplotype from Central Africa. I love that. People that are from Central Africa, there are people that are from the Republic of Africa. They're like the Bantu people. And that is so important to know that the people that are they have the haplotype Bantu, there are people that are from Angola, from Central Africa, they're from Kenya, and they're from Zara. So that's great to know. And one of the last groups that he kind of talked about a little bit was the people from Senegal, the DNA of Senegal, or people that are from the Atlantic coast of West Africa. So I love that. I like how he kind of break down the DNA of people that have sickle cell disease, or just the haplotypes in general, which kind of makes me wonder, is part of my haplotype from Asian descent? Makes me want to get a DNA test to find out. So that's one of the biggest, the first thing that I noticed and took away from this book. Another thing that I took away that was very interesting to me when I did research when I was diagnosed back in 2013, it talked about how sickle cell babies were known as babies that come and go, and the history goes back far back as from my research, it was like the early 1900s, late 1800s. But in this book, I'm going to read a piece out of this book that I like. And it's chapter 3, and it talks about the history of sickle cell anemia. Unscientifically, sickle cell disorder was first reported historically in the African medical literature known as Albany in the 1970s among children who often die early because of the high mortality associated with it. As far back as 1670, wow, a Ghanaian family was recognized with the disorder. Wow. That is so important to know, because I think with some of the information that I have, it talks about how it started in the 1970s in the U.S., out in Chicago, from a student that was in dental school. Started when a student was in dental school, and when they started doing the blood typing, doing the studies of what lab work, and saw that one of the patients had their blood work showed the shape of a C or a sickle. They had the shape of a C in their blood work, or a shape of a sickle. And that caught the attention of people, the medical community in America in the 1970s, and learning and studying what sickle cell disease is. I'm not going to give you all of the details in this book, because I think it's a book that you should read for yourself. It is a great book to have as a resource as well as information. And the one thing that I want to conclude this video with is a poem that he wrote that I love so much. And it speaks volumes to me. This poem speaks volume to me, and I want to read this poem to you. It says, the title of this poem is, It Is Your Sickle Cell Story. I love that. I love the title. It is your sickle cell story. As sickle cell warriors, we have a duty to promote the awareness about sickle cell disorder among ourselves, the sickle cell warriors and sickle cell community first, before we share it with the public, because charity begins from home. This is what I believe. So, we are duty bound to share the right information about sickle cell disorder. We owe it to other sickle cell warriors and the sickle cell community to share the right information about sickle cell disorder. We owe it to God to share our experiences of sickle cell crisis and complications with other sickle cell warriors and caregivers, so that with the help and comfort we receive from God, we can help and comfort other sickle cell warriors and the sickle cell community. So say it the way it is, and not the way anyone wants you to say it. Say it the way you felt the crisis and complications. When you experience the crisis and complications, and not the way you see the crisis and complications, after you overcome the crisis and complications, so other sickle cell warriors and the public may know and understand how it felt in the crisis and in the complications. In order to appropriately approach and provide care to other sickle cell warriors experiencing the crisis and complications. It is your story. It is your experience. So share your stories about sickle cell disorder the way you experience the sickle cell crisis and complications. So share your stories about sickle cell disorder in the way you are living as a sickle cell warrior. Because you are a sickle cell warrior, born as a sickle cell warrior, a noble warrior with noble stories and experiences. A warrior now, a warrior then, now and then. Thank you so much, Dr. David. That poem it resonated with me. I love that poem. And it's something that I often say to people. I think warriors should tell their story. I think even if they don't tell their story, their caregiver should tell their story. That's the way they're able to come up with more treatment options for warriors. So that concludes this video. But before I end this video, I'm going to include a link in the description of this video if you would like to get this book, because I ordered this book off of Amazon. You can get this book off of Amazon. It is a great read, and it's from the perspective of a doctor as well as a patient. It is great to have. In the comments section, let me know when you read the book, or if you ordered the book, if you've read the book. That would be great. Let me know what you think of the book as well, and let Dr. David know that you've been inspired by the book, or it has given you hope in your situation. So until next time, stay hydrated and stay well. Goodbye.